Lands of thirst and blood, lions versus hyenas, an unforgettable battle. Silence the noise of the world around you, adjust the volume to match the thrill ahead, and get ready to embark on an epic journey, a wild tale that surpasses any animal conflict you've ever heard of. In the heart of what is known as the Horn of Africa lies a harsh land where rain rarely dares to fall. There, in a semi-arid region east of Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa, the year 1999 became a symbol of choking dust, scorching sun, and a legendary confrontation that, 26 years later, is still told in trembling voices by the families of the Afar tribe. And now, we'll take you to relive the experience minute by minute, from the very week when the kings of the savannah clashed with a fearless clan of hyenas, unafraid of death. At an altitude of 1,900 meters in this rocky plain surrounded by volcanic hills and nearly leafless acacia shrubs lies a region of Ethiopia that barely received 110 millimeters of rainfall in 1998 and only 67 millimeters in 1999. This became alarming, considering the expected annual average was around 100 millimeter. The wells dried up, streams turned into hardened mud, and only one watercourse remained, fed by underground springs. And as this narrow stream flowed, two great animal forces collided. On one side was the lion pride known as Bekele. They were 9 adults, 2 dominant males, 4.5 years old, Bekele, the stronger one, and his brother Amari. They were accompanied by 6 experienced lionesses, Leah, Salome, Janae, Aisha, Malika, and Fauna, along with 6 cubs born 7 months earlier. Physically, Bekele's males were impressive. It's believed each weighed between 180 to 200 kilograms, packed with muscle from the constant effort of patrolling a territory spanning 23 square kilometers. On the other side stood the Nafisa clan, 40 fierce spotted hyenas led by the matriarch Nafisa, an 8-year-old female with a partially twisted jaw, a result of an old fight with a rival. Among her top lieutenants were Zuri and Halima, large females, each coordinating up to 12 huntresses. Contrary to the folklore that paints them as mere scavengers, spotted hyenas are powerful hunters with exceptional tactics. Their greatest strengths are coordination and vocal communication. Their loud laughs carry encrypted messages about the size of a rival group, a spotted prey, distance, or even social rank. While science only confirmed this in 2004 through studies by behavioral scientist Dr. Miriam Jida, the Afar tribe had long understood it simply by observation over generations. As for the bloody confrontation to come, it's likely that the dry summer of 1999 had the greatest influence, especially with scorching midday temperatures reaching 43 degrees Celsius. At that time, dozens from the Afar tribe were walking in a single line toward Gudo to fill their water bags. They had chosen that time of day because predators would typically be hiding from the sun, resting in the shade. But something broke the pattern that day. Shadows lurked. Scouts from Nafisa's hyena clan were already there, exploring the stream and scoping out opportunities. Something was stirring. They were restless. The men of the tribe had always fortified their territory and placed sentinels at night for their safety. These sentries constantly watched the silent war waged between the region's apex predators. That night, a warm breeze carried the scent of a decaying zebra, killed at dawn by the lions, who had eaten their fill. But for the hyenas, the smell meant opportunity. The clan advanced, hoping to share both land and the kill with the feline kingdom. By dawn, the lions and hyenas were already dangerously close to one another. The hyena matriarch was accompanied by 12 strong fighters, facing the carcass, insufficient to feed the entire clan. So she advanced toward the lion cubs. The drums of war sounded, driven by hunger. As the sun neared the horizon, the hyenas formed a semicircle and began barking in short, rhythmic bursts, testing the nerves of their enemies. The male lions of Bekele took a step forward, ready for confrontation. A skirmish broke out. No casualties yet, just a test of strength and tactics. But the bloodshed was clearly coming. Then the hyenas pulled back, as if they decided to hunt elsewhere. 2 more days passed. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of a coming storm. The sky finally granted rain. It was time. But the rain wasn't enough to fill the rivers. That stream remained the only source of water and relief. Later that evening, just after sunset, Amari and Bekele led 4 lionesses to the water stream to quench their thirst. Meanwhile, Halima led 18 hyenas to the opposite bank. But the hyenas were bold. They didn't want to share land with lions. They drew closer. Amari roared, his voice tearing through the descending night like a blade. He leapt and struck a hyena who had dared come too close. Blood stained the sand. It was the first kill. The hyenas retreated, but tension grew. Revenge was near. From a distance, the Afar tribespeople watched, knowing something major was about to unfold. The next day, rangers from the local reserve visited the tribe to deliver water and supplies. Though the rain offered hope for crops, people couldn't wait for the land to grow again. The locals reported everything to the guides. They said, "A war is unfolding between the hyenas and the lions. We're watching everything." At dawn on another day, Nafisa laid her trap. She knew the lions were tired from night patrols and rotating shifts. Bekele was alone, inspecting an open area near the village. The hyenas launched their strike. 7 hyenas barked to distract him while Zuri flanked the left side. Bekele turned and found himself facing 8 more hyenas, ready to bring him down. He roared in fury. From afar, his brother heard him. Amari responded with a roar of his own and ran to help. When he arrived, Bekele had already fallen, breathing heavily, surrounded by hyenas high on adrenaline. Bekele tried to rise, but his body was too injured. He collapsed, consumed by pain. For Amari, grief turned into rage. The burden was now his. His mind was filled with vengeance. He charged in, killing 2 hyenas instantly. The others retreated. They knew the lionesses were coming. They couldn't face a full pride. Amari began rallying the lionesses, preparing for a decisive strategy. Far from the lazy male stereotype, Amari stood at the front. His mission: protect the cubs, eliminate rivals, and avenge his brother. The hyena clan was large, but not all would fight. Many stayed back to guard the cubs. Still, they believed they could win. This wasn't the time to wait. It was time for vengeance. The lions advanced, seizing the moment as the hyenas feasted on a zebra. Amari struck like lightning, biting into one's throat. The lionesses killed 2 more. The rest fled. That day was a dark omen for the hyenas. The lions weren't retreating. They would keep hunting their enemies, even during what should have been their resting hours. The search resumed. Soon, they found the clan again, now face to face. No escape. Only one apex predator would dominate this land. Both sides knew it. Amari emerged with the lionesses and charged the hyenas. In an instant, the savannah became a wild battlefield. Roars, screams, dust, and blood everywhere. Within minutes, 7 hyenas fell. 2 lionesses were injured but would survive. The numbers kept rising. 8, 10, 11 hyenas on the ground. Nafisa, the matriarch, knew it was over. Still, she refused to surrender. With cunning laughs, she called the entire clan one last time. The female hyenas lined up, trying desperately to shield their queen. But Amari had made his decision. He would end this. He ran past the defenders, enduring bites without flinching. His eyes were blazing. He reached Nafisa and bit her neck. She fell instantly. With the queen down, the clan broke. Halima tried to organize a retreat, but it was too late. Only a few hyenas escaped, those left to care for the cubs. The rest were slaughtered. The lions didn't eat the hyenas. They left the bodies to rot as a message. This land belongs to one king only, the lion. But the revenge wasn't finished. The lions retreated briefly to rest, waiting for nightfall. This time, Amari and Leah followed a scent, not of their cubs, but of hyena cubs. They wanted to finish the mission completely. They found 6 hyena cubs and a few adults watching over them. They attacked instantly, killing them all in brutal fashion. To an observer, it might seem cruel, but to lions, it was about eliminating future threats. The revenge wasn't easy. It was only 2 lions, and they returned severely wounded. The tribe's watchers hadn't seen the fight, but they heard it. They saw the predators staggering back, licking their wounds. They knew the mission was complete. The next day, they headed to the battlefield to collect the hyena hides. The hides were tanned with salt and sun, turned into drums used in ceremonies, reminders of the ferocity and brutality of that battle. One couldn't overlook the sheer power of the lions that tipped the scales, possibly enhanced by the extreme drought and deadly competition over life's most vital resource. Biologists studied the event deeply. When they heard the story, researchers Jeremy and Carroll released a final report in 2001 in the African Journal of Carnivore Behavior. It concluded, highly social groups can be defeated if they underestimate the raw strength and familial cohesion of rival alliances, especially during severe droughts when every drop of water comes at a deadly cost, a cost paid in blood.
In Africa, death has a distinct scent. It is not merely the stench of organic decay, but a heavy odor that clings deep in the throat and lungs, refusing to leave until it mixes with everything, even the damp soil of the morning. But on that cold dawn in the Ngorongoro crater, the scent was not the trace of an ordinary hunt for food. It was thick and suffocating, born of a brutal massacre that silenced even the birds. There, on blood-stained tall grass, 2 gigantic lions lay asleep. Their sleep was not light or cautious, but a deep, crushing slumber of 2 exhausted beasts, as if every drop of strength had been drained from their mighty bodies. Around them was a scene of absolute chaos. Torn carcasses of lionesses who had fought to their last breath to protect their offspring, and worse still, the small broken lifeless bodies of lion cubs. An entire lineage, a genetic legacy built across generations, was erased in a single night of calculated terror, simply because it did not submit to the new kings. Yet among the tall grass, hidden and trembling with fear, 2 golden eyes watched. A single cub, the only survivor. The rangers observed the scene from afar, binoculars in hand, without interfering in the law of nature. But deep inside, they hoped the tyrants would not find the hidden survivor. Fortunately, they did not. A few years later, those same rangers gave that fortunate lion a name, Mzimu Wahabonde, the ghost of the valley in the local dialect. The name was no coincidence. Mzimu did not survive because he was fast. He did not survive because he was smarter or hid better than his siblings. He survived because of a biological flaw in his executioners. The killers slaughtered many members of his family, expending enormous energy tearing apart adult lionesses and the next generation until they collapsed from muscular exhaustion before finishing the task. The executioner's momentary fatigue became the victim's only stroke of luck. They did not know that the survivor, that weak, trembling mass hidden in the grass, would one day become a tight knot in the rope of their own execution. So stay with us as we head to northern Tanzania, roam its vast plains, and meet the powerful lion who carried his revenge as a sacred vow that had to be fulfilled in the most brutal way. In nature, biology books insist that revenge does not exist among animals, only survival and reproductive instinct. But what we witness in a story from 1964, just a few years after the Ngorongoro crater became a protected reserve, is the food chain turned upside down by feline hatred. To understand the hidden brutality of this story, you must first understand where we stand. The Ngorongoro crater is not an ordinary national park. It is a geological paradise, a volcanic caldera that collapsed millions of years ago, surrounded by impregnable walls rising 600 inside. The rules of the outside world do not apply. It is an ecosystem with few predators and abundant prey. This is why its lions are massive, known as the giant lions, feeding in abundance in a place that experiences little drought and provides resources year-round. In 1959, the site became a protected reserve, and in 1979 it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our massacre occurred in 1964, leaving professionals who monitored the true law of the wild with a shocking and unforgettable record. On this deadly chessboard, Mzimu's original alliance ruled with strength. Known then as the Valley Alliance, it was a powerful, thriving family, controlling the best water sources, until the arrival of the Dark Alliance, two rogue males from outside the crater who descended the steep walls not to integrate, but to kill and destroy. The invasion was a lightning war. Once they realized how much food was available, they sought to dominate the entire area. One ordinary night, the Dark Alliance attacked the Valley Alliance. After defeating the reigning king, whose age had become his enemy, the biological objective was clear: erase the previous genetic line to establish their own, forcing the females back into estrus and submission. But the lionesses resisted fiercely. The violence escalated when they saw their king on the ground and their cubs torn apart. What followed was the ultimate battle, savage and terrifying. The two males slaughtered the lionesses, not without difficulty, as they were large and heavy. When only one cub remained, exhaustion finally overcame them. Our hero, young Mzimu Wabonde, saw everything. He saw the dominant power tear apart his mother. He saw the Alliance King fall defending the Pride. He saw his siblings crushed. Normally, invading lions are methodical, patrolling the area for days after a takeover to ensure no heir of the previous king survives. They do not stop until every trace of rival DNA is erased. But a lone cub left inside, the rules of the outside world do not apply. It is an ecosystem with few predators and abundant prey. This is why its lions are massive, known as the giant lions, feeding in abundance in a place that experiences little drought and provides resources year-round. In 1959, the site became a protected reserve, and in 1979 it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Our massacre occurred in 1964, leaving professionals who monitored the true law of the wild with a shocking and unforgettable record. On this deadly chessboard, Mzimu's original alliance ruled with strength. Known then as the Valley Alliance, it was a powerful, thriving family, controlling the best water sources, until the arrival of the Dark Alliance, two rogue males from outside the crater who descended the steep walls not to integrate, but to kill and destroy. The invasion was a lightning war. Once they realized how much food was available, they sought to dominate the entire area. One ordinary night, the Dark Alliance attacked the Valley Alliance. After defeating the reigning king, whose age had become his enemy, the biological objective was clear: erase the previous genetic line to establish their own, forcing the females back into estrus and submission. But the lionesses resisted fiercely. The violence escalated when they saw their king on the ground and their cubs torn apart. What followed was the ultimate battle, savage and terrifying. The two males slaughtered the lionesses, not without difficulty, as they were large and heavy. When only one cub remained, exhaustion finally overcame them. Our hero, young Mzimu. Traditional biology tells us that nomadic lions seek alliances with brothers or cousins to overthrow established kings. But the jungle equation does not account for hatred. Mzimu had no interest in alliances, territory, or females. Only revenge drove him. Then, on a cold, foggy morning, the wind shifted. Mzimu felt no fear. He felt the cycle complete. He was no longer the helpless victim. He was the legendary creature raised in secrecy by the Crater, nourished by hatred. It was 1968 when he descended into the Central Region, where the Dark Alliance still ruled two prides. Mzimu did not mark territory or announce his arrival. His invasion was silent, direct, and lethal. He did not want land or females. He wanted only the heads of the lions who destroyed his pride. He found the first member of the Dark Alliance alone, drinking from a muddy pool, an aging king, heavy, slow with age. Perhaps he recognized something in those golden eyes approaching without hesitation. He roared to summon his brother, but it was too late. The clash was thunderous. This was no ordinary fight of testing strength. It was a calculated execution. Mzimu completed the first phase of his revenge. The noise and fresh blood drew the second member of the alliance, who erupted from the grass like a demon, roaring with fury. Larger than the first, slightly younger, they collided in a brutal duel, a dance of giants armed with claws and fangs. For moments, the seasoned lion seemed to dominate, but with a swift, precise strike, Mzimu turned the tide and killed his enemy. He emerged wounded, badly wounded, but still standing. Silence returned to the crater, heavier than ever. Two giant lions lay dead. The invading tyrants who ruled with iron claws became food for vultures. The ghost of the valley stood beside them, wounded, breathing hard, victorious. He was no longer a ghost, he was king. He returned to his land and females. Revenge complete, he did not repeat the massacre he endured. He joined the lionesses cautiously, avoided the cubs, and waited for estrus in its natural time. He refused to repeat the pain he had suffered, a scene that stunned observers worldwide.
They achieved many accomplishments and imposed power and dominance on every path they crossed. But the group of young males, eager to control and to prove their right to rule, could no longer stay united. Anger spread through the land, and each lion showed his ferocity, baring his sharp fangs in preparation for battle. They were known as the Skybed Coalition, Skybed Lions. They were a dangerous group of lions who, eventually, had to break their peace. Their calm was shattered, and they moved in different directions. This split brought far more challenges than expected. The unity that once brought great victories could no longer be rebuilt, and all observers of this coalition remembered their golden era. But even the greatest kings cannot escape their fall when destiny has already written it. Today, we take a thrilling journey to uncover the strength and domination of the Skybed Lions, the coalition that dedicated its life to conquests, battles, and death. It was the end of 2007 and the beginning of 2008 in Kruger National Park in Africa, home to many powerful lions. Among these lions was a great pride, known not because of its males, but because of the number of lionesses. There were about 12 females ruled by 3 dominant males who shared the crown peacefully for years, until late 2007. Once the cubs were born, the land filled with their voices. The pride now had 12 cubs, all of them males. When they reached 1 year of age, curiosity led them to explore the surrounding territory. 3 of them wandered far from their pride, and they were killed by the terrifying Mapogos. After their death, the remaining 9 stayed inside the pride, needing protection to grow strong enough to defend themselves. The 3 ruling males decided to move the pride far away, avoiding battles with other lions until their cubs were older and more experienced. They needed strong male heirs. Ensuring their survival was a priority. They could not risk losing more sons. Time passed, and the young lions finally had to leave their pride and stop depending on their parents for food and safety. The 9 brothers formed a powerful coalition and began conquering land and lionesses to spread their genes and control nearby territories. Their large number worked in their favor. They won battles with ease, conquering 2 prides in just 1 year. After settling near the Skybed Bridge, they received the name Skybed Coalition. The Skybed Lions showed exceptional strength and unity. Their shared power allowed them to take key territories, expel rival males, and control several prides. This dominance guaranteed them vast hunting grounds and mating opportunities, critical for survival and reproduction. At the peak of their rule, the Skybed Coalition controlled over 200 square kilometers, including the rich hunting grounds of Savuti Marsh, filled with buffalo, zebra, and wild prey. Their cooperation in hunting and defending territory was unmatched. Their large number drew huge attention, not only from locals, but also from park visitors. The coalition lived in great peace until small conflicts started between the brothers. They realized these disagreements would grow violent, and they might soon fight or kill each other for power. To avoid deadly battles and prevent losing their territory, the Skybed lions decided to split. But they did not know that this separation would weaken them and mark the beginning of their downfall. 5 brothers stayed near Kruger National Park, and 4 left to Timbavati Reserve near the border. The 4 lions conquered a pride with many lionesses and cubs ruling for some time, until enemies appeared. They soon realized that battles had been much easier when the coalition was united. Their great number was the deadly force that once guaranteed victory. One day, one of the 4 lions went patrolling in Timbavati. His brothers stayed with the pride, but he never returned. After long searches by wildlife observers and park rangers, he was never found. They believed he fell into a poacher's trap because the area was quiet, with no signs of lion fights. His body was never discovered. Months later, the remaining 3 brothers learned that the Northern Skybed Coalition was close. They trapped one lion walking alone and killed him. But the other 2 surprised them and killed one of the northern lions in revenge. After both sides retreated, the land became quiet again. Neither coalition wanted to lose more brothers. Later, the remaining lions from the northern group attempted to expand their territory, hoping to forget their losses. But they underestimated the enemy, 3 experienced and powerful males. Defeat was certain. The northern lions took their last breath in Timbavati. Back in Kruger, the 5 remaining Skybed lions faced heavy rains. Another coalition was preparing to enter their territory. In that moment, the largest of the Skybed lions was patrolling near the river. He was known for being bigger than the others, faster at avoiding attacks, and striking with deadly accuracy. No one imagined he would be the first to fall. 2 invading males attacked him. After a fierce and violent fight, they killed him. His brothers arrived too late. They had no choice but to accept their loss. Soon, greed and selfishness began to spread. The young kings no longer wanted to share food or females. They fought constantly, spent long hours apart, and grew weaker. In 2018, one of them suffered a spinal injury, likely from a buffalo. He could no longer hunt. His brothers cowardly expelled him from the pride. Without protection and unable to hunt, he died slowly from starvation. He had been the most beautiful of the 9, yet he suffered a tragic and lonely end. A safari group was with him, and an American photographer said she could not leave him alone. She convinced the group to stay with him until his final breath. It did not take long. 2 Skybed brothers were later seen together for some time. One of them had a deep scar in his eye. Their last sightings were in 2019, with their male offspring looking healthy. The rise and fall of the Skybed lions is a powerful reminder of how fragile and complex lion society is. Their story highlights the importance of unity, cooperation, and strategy in maintaining dominance. Although their rule ended in tragedy, the legacy of the Skybed Coalition remains, an unforgettable chapter in wildlife history, and a striking example of how the animal kingdom constantly changes.
In the vast spaces that serve as a stage for competition, for the fight between the largest cats on Earth, where the soil and air are dyed red with blood, predators confront each other to prove their strength and dominance, and to declare the place a kingdom for the fiercest and strongest among them. Among these cats emerges the era of the fiercest lions, a group that fears nothing, named the Mapogos Alliance, dominated and led by the most ferocious lion in modern history, who made his name a legend of brutality and violence throughout the kingdom. He is the lion nicknamed Mr. T, or Satan, who left with his brothers to the Sabi Sand Reserve and established their own alliance. They waited to master hunting skills, strengthen their bodies, and steal others' prey before they occupied all parts of the reserve and wrote their terrifying, bloody history. Mr. T was the strongest of the group despite being the youngest, and was followed by his closest brother Kinky Tail, in addition to his other brothers Mapogo, Rasta, and Pretty Boy. Mr. T relied on killing any dominant male he faced in the place in his way to expand in the reserve. Even he did not spare the young cubs or the females who refused to submit to him for mating. He killed them in the ugliest ways, to the point that he competed with his older brother Makulu for ruling the place, and a violent fight broke out between them that ended with the division of the group and Mr. T leaving the alliance with his subordinate brother Kinky Tail. The brothers headed east to control the northern and eastern part of the reserve, where the strong duo guarded their lands against many intruders who had the audacity to come. Not only did Mr. T and his brother defend their brothers and the reserve lands from one side of the east, but they also faced any attack from the west as well, where the entire western part of the reserve was almost surrounded by walls, which means that the only way to enter was through Mr. T and his brother. 4 years have passed since the Mapogos dominated the place. In this calm, a significant challenge awaits the two brothers as they face a new coalition of lions in the area. This challenge, posed by the Majingalanes Alliance, is one of the toughest battles these energetic, vibrant, and cunning young lions will encounter. The brothers set a trap for one of these 5 lions when he was wandering alone in the place. Then they surrounded him and killed him in a terrifying and fierce way. In the evening, the rest of these angry lions began to challenge and roar throughout the place to avenge the death of one of their brothers. Kinky Tail accepted this challenge and went arrogantly with his great strength to face them, to face the 4 lions. But the majority overcame the courage, and the Majingalanes Alliance was able to kill him in the ugliest way. He was literally torn and bitten in a way that expresses the severity of their anger at the killing of their brother. And some photographers who captured this fight said that they literally heard the sound of his spine breaking. And when Mr. T arrived at the place at the call of his brother, he tried to skirmish with the angry lions, but he realized that he would not be able to compete with this strong young alliance. Then he left the place after being chased, but he survived and headed towards his brothers. While this new alliance declared control over the north and east, Mr. T had arrived at his brother's control areas in the south, who simply received him, without being expelled or fighting with Makulu again. After a brief period of calm, Mr. T returned to his usual brutality, and tried to mate with some of the lionesses who refused to submit to him. So he expelled some of them and killed the other and killed most of the cubs, in front of his brothers, who did not move to confront him and prevent him. Then he took over and became the leader of the group. After settling in the place, the Majingalanes lions resumed their attack on the Mapogos' control areas, and they succeeded in killing 2 of the Mapogos, namely Rasta and Pretty Boy, and the other 3 remained, led by Mr. T, who fled the place for survival. Age advanced in the 3 lions, and their situation became threatened by many young alliances that are expanding in the place. Hunting has become difficult for them, and aging has worn them out. And indeed not much has passed before a new alliance called Tsalala arrived, and pounced on Mr. T and his brothers, the latter who fled with them from the place. But the alliance followed him until it surrounded him and started fighting with him. It was a fight of life or death, and he kept fighting with all ferocity and strength to wriggle out of them. And despite his many wounds, he remained steadfast, replying the bites and blows, with his body thickened with wounds. But in the end, he fell victim to fatigue, and his strength faded, and the lions pounced on him, tearing all parts of his body. To end with his death, the legend of the fiercest lions in the Sabi Sand Reserve and Africa, who wrote headlines of brutality, terror, and control that will never be repeated. While his brothers Scar and Makulu retreated as far as possible from the place to save their lives, their era later ended due to old age, lack of food, surrender to weakness, and death. Considered a destination for tourists from all over the world, attracted by his beloved personality and distinctive appearance, attracting the lenses of photographers seeking to capture the most beautiful and breathtaking pictures, a lion considered until his last days one of the most magnificent lions of Africa, specifically in Tanzania in his sanctuary represented by Serengeti National Park. He is the lion Bob Jr., whose death caused great sadness worldwide. The little lion born in 2010 named Bob Jr. after his father didn't know that he would capture the hearts of everyone who saw him, with his huge dark mane, distinctive shape, and extreme gentleness. During his childhood, his father ruled alongside his brother Ziggy. Bob the father and Ziggy dominated pride in central, southern, and eastern Serengeti during their peak youth and strength. From an early age, Bob Jr. was known for his curious and daring personality. Often he would stray from his pride, venturing out alone to explore the surrounding areas. However, this adventurous spirit also landed him in trouble once, as he went missing for several days, causing concern for the park rangers. Despite these unfortunate incidents, Bob Jr. grew up to be a strong and dominant lion, which eventually prepared him to become the leader of his pride. He was a fierce protector of his family, often hunting and bringing food to share with his pride members. This stunning lion with amber eyes, who was called Bob Marley by tour guides after the famous Jamaican reggae singer because of his shiny and distinctive mane, stood out with his appearance. Bob Jr. was distinguished by his appearance, especially with his prominent mane, reddish-brown in color, with a scar above his left eye, which gave him a sharp and powerful look. This scar resulted from a fight with a rival male lion, which Bob Jr. won, of course. However, since Bob the father and his brother Ziggy controlled 5 prides at once, Bob Jr. and his brother Trigva couldn't assert dominance during their upbringing. So in 2017, after strengthening and becoming capable of independence, they migrated to the western Serengeti region, where they roamed the plains and fully dominated the area. They settled in the grassy savannas of the western Serengeti. This area had previously been closed by the park for approximately 25 years for cheetah breeding. But these lucky cubs discovered it after its reopening. Bob Jr. was recognizable due to his size and appearance, closely resembling his father, with the main difference being that his father's mane was more pronounced with braids. Over the years, Bob Jr. became a beloved figure in Serengeti National Park. Visitors came from all over the world to see him, and he sometimes approached their vehicles spontaneously and gently, allowing them to capture amazing close-up photos of him. This made him a favorite among tourists, who often shared his pictures on social media. One tourist said, "The first time I saw Bob Jr., we had a moment where we closed our eyes and heard his famous roar, which I felt deep in my soul. He was so big that when he stood next to our car, he could almost reach the window, letting us hear his roar loudly and terrifyingly." One evening, our group went out on a safari as usual when we encountered Bob Jr. walking, raising his head high. We felt that he had already spotted something, so we started following him to discover what was happening. Suddenly, we saw the entire herd feeding on tauro tragus, the largest antelope in Africa. It led us to the scene of the incident. However, life in the wilderness isn't always easy, as Bob Jr. faced many challenges during his time in the park. But one of the biggest threats to his life came from hunters, who often targeted lions for their valuable body parts, such as bones and skins. Fortunately, park rangers were always vigilant against such activities, doing their best to protect Bob Jr. and his pride from harm. In addition to the threat from illegal hunters, Bob Jr. had to deal with natural predators, like hyenas and crocodiles, which could threaten his life and that of his pride. Despite being a skilled hunter and fighter who could defend his family as best as he could. As Bob Jr. aged, signs of aging began to show on him. His once strong body weakened, and he was no longer able to hunt as effectively as before. Nevertheless, he remained a respected and beloved leader among his pride members, who continued to look up to him for guidance and protection. The violent death of Bob Jr. made headlines on March 11th of this year, 2023, as he was killed in a fierce attack by younger rivals known as the Saba-Bora Alliance, believed by some to be his own cubs who were expelled from the pride at a young age, while others believe they crossed the Kenyan border to defeat all lions standing in their way. Indeed, the younger males set their sights on Bob Jr. to challenge him in a fierce fight that ended his life as he defended his territory in the eastern Samatu-Copias plains. The attack by these young lions was extremely violent. They didn't merely make him flee or simply drive him away, but intended from the start to end his life and make the place tremble with their unfamiliar dominance and ferocity, though he fought as he should until he breathed his last breath. It is also believed that Bob Jr.'s beloved brother, Trygve, was killed in separate but apparently coordinated attacks, according to Freddie Shirima, the Conservation and Protection Officer in Serengeti Park. Since then, Bob Jr.'s legacy lives on in the memories of all who knew him worldwide, in the many photos and videos taken of him during his time in the park. He was a symbol of Serengeti's beauty and magnificence, and his departure is a reminder of the fragility of life, even for the mightiest creatures in the wild. He was a lion who captured the hearts of many, a strong and courageous leader who protected his family from human and animal threats. His death is a tremendous and painful loss. In today's video, we'll delve deeper into the magnificent African wilderness to explore the strongest lion alliances ever. Sixth, the Birmingham Boys. In the rugged northern Sabi Sand area of Kruger National Park, a group of lions known as the Birmingham Alliance established their presence. Each member had a unique personality, symbolizing strength and resilience in the African wild. Initially, Nsoko, nicknamed Blondie for his impressive blonde mane, took the lead as the eldest and fiercest. Naturally, Nsoko assumed his leadership role alongside his strong brother Nhenha, brave warrior Tino with broken teeth, and mischievous and aggressive Mfumo, named after a legendary villainous character. They cooperated as blood brothers to protect their territory and secure food collectively. However, life for the Birmingham Lions wasn't always unified. It was a mix of competition and desire for solitary rule. Battles erupted over mating rights and dominance, leading to violent conflicts within the coalition with severe consequences that eventually scattered this powerful alliance. Fifth, the Notch Coalition. The Masai Mara region, with its vast golden plains and immense animal diversity, witnessed a unique lion lineage known as the Notch Coalition. This group of 6 strong males, led by the grizzled male Notch, were angry siblings filled with bloodlust and hunting prowess. Their harmonious teamwork made them elite hunters who decimated many wild animals, including zebras with their high speeds. Their secret weapon was their thrilling collective action. Their roars echoed like thunder across the plains, signaling dominance and power and clearly expressing their bravery and control over the area. Led by Notch and his fierce sons, they were always effective attackers and seasoned warriors in battles. Spanning over 1,000 square kilometers, their prey-rich kingdom was highly contested by other beasts. Thus, it was inevitable that this kingdom would fall. As Notch aged, signs of weakness appeared, and his roar turned to whispers. He stayed close to his sons, trying to survive as long as possible before his reign broke forever. However, some sons fell in battles, and others disappeared for unknown reasons, hastening the end of this coalition that left its mark and genes across Masai Mara that will undoubtedly re-emerge in strong alliances. Fourth, the Matimba Lions Coalition. The formation of the powerful Matimba Coalition and its emergence in the Sabi Sand area was a very frightening era, which lasted from 2010 to 2017. These 6 lions were famous for their strength and ferocity, forming regional invaders, aggressors, and usurpers of many lands from other lion coalitions. This group originated in the Ngala Reserve, where their journey of dominance began in 2010 when they moved to Manyeleti, successfully expelling the dominant lions to establish their own territories and lands that extended across Kruger National Park to Ngala Reserve and onto Sabi Sand. The strategic decision by this coalition to move not only showed their adaptability, but also their understanding of the surrounding environment and how to take the best steps for dominance and expansion. The Matimba Coalition's ability to work collectively in coordinated hunting operations played a crucial role in their success. It also allowed them to cooperate effectively, not just in hunting, but also in defending their territories from potential threats. However, internal divisions and the mysterious disappearance of one of the lions named Nduna in 2012 led to a shift in Matimba's strategies. By 2013, conflicts within the coalition, along with the emergence of young lions, led to a split into two factions: the northern Matimbas, which included Shaka, Slit-Nose, and Whiteface, and the southern Matimbas, which included Hairy Belly and Ginger, known for their hostility and frequent clashes with rivals. The northern Matimba era began to fade once one of the males was killed in 2015, while another was killed by rival males in 2017. The last northern Matimba was seen spending time with the Skoro Pride around Tamboti area and eventually died of old age as he appeared weak. Meanwhile, in 2018, the southern Matimba lions were spotted on the western side of Sabi Sand, an area left by the Majingilane coalition after their death. Soon after, the southern lions were seen mating with Othawa lionesses and later sired many cubs, expanding and mating with other known prides such as Talamati, Mibri, and Kuhuma, Torchwood, Skoro, and Red Road. Later on, Ginger Matimba suffered from a severe type of mange and was seen struggling with the disease for some time, but eventually died, leaving Hairy Belly as the last remaining Matimba lion. Third, the Salati Males Coalition. In the diverse competitive landscape of western Sabi Sand region emerges another one of the fiercest and most bloodthirsty coalitions. Despite its recent existence and short history of spread, it has made its own violent glory in this vast place. It is the Salati Coalition that came as a terrifying force dominating many areas of the reserve from 2015 to 2017 in a deadly and swift manner. Named after the Salati River that flowed through their territory, this coalition formed an enduring legacy. Their rise to prominence was not easy. The Salati brothers strategically collaborated to overthrow the Mapogo coalition that ruled the area at that time. The scene of fierce battles was terrifying, especially after Mapogo members scattered and struggled among themselves, leading to successful takeover of their territories and expulsion from the list of dominant predators in the region. The unity and strength of Salati coalition became the cornerstone of their clear dominance, embodying sophisticated strategies of lion societies. For 2 years, the Salati males held their territory with an iron grip. They sired many cubs and reinforced their status as formidable and terrifying predators that are difficult to confront. However, their reign was not without challenges. Territorial disputes arose from other coalitions that began to emerge frequently in the area, forming the kind of massive competition for place like the Majingilane and Birmingham males, which were constant threats. In addition, some internal conflicts within the group's entity led to one of the lions leaving the coalition in 2016. The tragedy for the coalition increased in 2017 when a member of the coalition fell victim to attacks by Matimba and Majingilane lions, while another succumbed to illness, leaving the remaining 2 Salati brothers in a clear state of weakness, as their strength was in their union. The younger lion persevered for a short time, but eventually faced too much challenge and competition that led to his overthrow by the Birmingham males in 2018. This marked the end of the strong Salati coalition. Secondly, the Majingalanes coalition. The Majingalanes coalition gained a terrifying reputation in their movements and incursions into territories and occupying areas, where this coalition's lions always moved towards their goal without ever deviating from their path. They were raised in Manyaleti Reserve, where they were known for their skills in hunting large prey, especially buffalo. After this quintet coalition's cubs were born between 2004 and 2005, they set out on their own in 2009, heading south towards Sabi Sand. Their choice to stay together played an important role in asserting their presence and enhancing their status everywhere they set foot. Therefore, they always roared on their way of migration, looking for new challenges to test their immense strength. Salala Pride was the first group targeted by the Majingalanes. They caused many victims who tried to confront them. Only the 4 younger lionesses along with their mothers managed to survive. By 2010, the 2 adult lionesses had surrendered to the coalition and chose to mate with what was previously considered the enemy. In this harsh environment, the law of survival of the fittest prevailed for the group and the strongest to ensure the continuation of the herd. The Majingilana's lions became stronger and more violent, with a darker and thicker mane that indicated their immense strength, gradually dominating more territories. This dominance continued for more than 7 years, representing an important chapter in the pages of glory they wrote over the years. They firmly controlled a vast area of Sabi-San Reserve, estimated at 26,676 hectares, during the peak of their influence. Firstly, the Mapogo Alliance. We've reached one of the most ferocious alliances that dominated and marked their territory and history with blood. With a group of massive, fierce, and battle-scarred lions known as the Mapogo. This terrifying group of males born in South Africa, specifically in the vast Sabi-Sand area of Kruger National Park, was one of the most fearsome types of lions over the years, from 2004 to 2012. This alliance was famous for its unprecedented strength and violence and its unparalleled killing methods. They also controlled an area of about 70,000 hectares. What distinguishes the Mapogo Alliance is its harsh reputation, which led to a bloody history documented by killing more than 100 lions and cubs in just 1 year, a number that could be higher considering the vast areas they patrolled. At its peak, the alliance consisted of 6 fierce males, had a special impact on the place, and did not distinguish between a cub of their offspring or their brother's offspring. They killed for the sake of killing only, with an insatiable hunger for violence and blood. In the early months of 2004, 5 cubs, along with the veteran warrior and leader Makulu, left their pride to begin a series of challenges to survive in the wild, in addition to learning exciting hunting and killing methods. They formed a formidable bond through their unity, staying together, thereby increasing their chances of survival. After gaining strength and becoming successful and skilled hunters, they set out to dominate and discover their immense power. Their large size and excellent experience in taking down huge prey enabled them to face the fiercest competing beasts, especially other lion alliances coveting their place. They also demonstrated their ability to adapt and excel in overcoming challenges in their vast territories. On March 16, 2012, a pivotal moment in the overall competitive landscape of the Sabi-Sand area was revealed when a new alliance of 4 male lions known as Salatis entered the territory controlled by the Mapogo lions. This marked the beginning of a significant shift in the region's balance of power. Many challenges emerged at that time, especially after an internal conflict led to the fragmentation and division of the alliance. In another decisive confrontation, a group of powerful Majingalani lions appeared and began trying to overthrow the Mapogo members through their tactical prowess and ferocity. The youthfulness and vitality that were one of the reasons for their ability to face the terrifying Mapogo. The fall of alliance members one after another, especially Mr. T, marked a turning point in Mapogo's dominance. The last 2 lions from the group, Old Makulu and Pretty Boy, found themselves engaged in a fierce confrontation. It led to their withdrawal into Kruger National Park's territory, trying to stay away from danger as much as possible. However, they faced Kruger's lions, who eventually overthrew them, declaring an end to an era of one of the most brutal and bloody lion alliances.